I don't know why people say Henry Ford had the flathead, or they call it the Ford flathead. Ford didn't invent the flathead. The flathead was actually invented in Germany and was done by. If you look at the Rolls Royce, the old Rolls Royce engines, you would notice that they were flatheads. Rolls Royce Merlin Engine Company, what is Germany, had the flathead engine first. It was actually kind of, I don't know, it was a simple engine, but like I say, the valve stems were too long, and they later on decided that shorter valve stems would be better and do the cam and whatever, or push rods. I think it's the spring weight or whatever that it's I think it's I don't know, it has to do with opening and closing the valve or whatever, high RPMs. You don't want to have a big spring, whatever. The valve springs, I mean the valve stems kept breaking. I was using something comparable to titanium or really strong valve springs. Well, I mean it's just for when you go really high RPM, high horsepower, that it becomes a problem. All the low horsepower stuff and the more or less pig metal steel, like cast iron stuff. There was a lot of cast iron stuff, and it broke a lot. Honestly, it did. I mean, they were always breaking. So I mean, cast iron sucked. But later on, we got the steel and all that other stuff, and so but valve stems are hard. They're really really hard. Um, because the way it kind of like gets really skinny and stuff to make it seal. I think there are some other ones. There were some ones where they're rounded. It used a rounded valve stem. It wasn't like nowadays valve stems, they kind of go out to a tip or whatever, um, and they use those. But in the old days, they used the rounded valve stems where it was a rounded thing like this, and it kind of went up into a seat, and and those are really old school. You'll probably never see them, but the valve stems used to, instead of having a flat flange like this, they used to have more of a rounded kind of curve to them like this. And the valve stems used to be a little bit thicker, like, I mean, they would just go to. So, anyway, though, but yeah, probably too heavy or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I had the original valve stems were rounded like that, rounded curve to the edge. And to kind of go open and close, open and close. Anyway, but of course, that was old technology. Really old technology was the rounded ones, the rounded seats. Anyway, probably never see it on any engines these days. I mean, that probably died out some around 1910, 1920. I don't know. Very old. Um, I mean, as steel technology gets up there and stuff like that, you can do a lot of other stuff that you couldn't do. It's probably too heavy. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know much. I don't know that much about engine. Like I say, I used to know a lot, but not so much anymore. Mostly, I'm steam power. I'm a steam person. So I mean, I just did engine just because. Anyway, LS, Lucifer Star, the LSV. I mean LV, LCV, whatever. 6 or SL. It's because it the Japanese got it or the Chinese got it, and they read backwards. So it was an LS 6 or LSV 6, and they read it as, I don't know, some reason they put SL 6 or whatever. Anyway, it's, I don't know, single light vehicle. I don't know. I might have done that. I don't know. I got a little I got kind of tired because it's like it's LVC 6.1, LVC 6.2, LVC 6.3, 4, 5. As the production runs were going out, and we were making little modifications, and it's just like, so eventually, time goes on and stuff like that. But, it actually stands for Lucifer Combat Vehicle or Light Combat Vehicle. Anyway, I like to do that dual purpose names where one thing can mean another thing, it's like that. So, anyway, yeah, whatever. Anyway, you have to see what the other languages say about it. In English, though, that's what it means. But yeah, I mean, I made like I say, the Panama Canal. If you went back and looked at the Panama Canal, you'd see nuclear bombs or these big bombs on wagons and stuff like that in 1812, and you would see like we used the first nuclear bombs in 1812, but they were a little bit dirty or something like that. We didn't have the technology perfected. So and we were shelling the Panama Canal with the battleships. Like that's what cannons were used for. Like I say, you would have your marker on the hillside, and you would take your shells in every day, and into a shop, and you would get them melted down, or you would melt them down yourself anyway, and then you would take the shell or the cannonball to basically a cannon expert or a cannon person, someone like me, and we would put them inside our battleship, and then we'd use the gunpowder, and then boom. I generally use my own battleships for my own stuff, but I mean, sometimes I would fire off or basically be like, okay, just give me the metal and I'll fire my shells. Yeah, because I had this whole shop set up, and I had all the setup for the big cannons. So I would just use my big cannons and my big battleships, and then other people could take a little bit of rock. I do a lot of things like where people could, I would get like most of the metal or whatever, but they could take like a percentage off the top. I mean, there's so much being made. I mean, we're talking about like huge quantities of metal, and everyone was getting metal and everything else like that. Like everyone was rich. Everyone had metal, and I was paying, like I say, I paid like $4,000 or 4,000 gold and silver. I forget what it was, if it was gold or silver, but for the building of basically the cities around Panama, and all new screen material, because I had over a lot. I mean, some people said there was 5 million people there or something like that, but I mean, it was probably more like 1.5 or 2 million people. Like there were whole. I mean, there's a lot of people in Panama. I mean, it was a huge thing. We were digging it like almost simultaneously. Like you couldn't move without tripping over someone. And all those steam engines, all the train cars were made from the metal mined from the rock at Panama. Like it was all from there. Anyway, there's some spots. There's copper, and there's some iron, and some others, and some. Like I said, we got into this mountain where nothing could dig into it. Like even hitting it with shells, it'd be like, and it's like something like it was like some really hard rock, and we're like, ee, and I was like, yeah, yes, that's what we're looking for. And at first, everyone was like thinking it was going to be a problem, and it actually turned out to be like this really good stuff. I don't even know what kind of rock it was, like something like granite or something. So just like some sort of ridiculously hard rock, and it was really heavy. It was really heavy. I don't know. I don't know much about it. They just told me that it was really hard and it was really heavy, and I was like, yes, that's what we're looking for, heavy and hard. That's the stuff we want, because that means it's very dense rock, which means dense rock equals minerals equals good stuff. So so when they said heavy, hard, and really tough to break or whatever, I was like, I mean, they were thinking it was a problem, and I was like, could be something good, and I think I knew what I was looking for. Like I think I knew I wanted something that was really ridiculously heavy and ridiculously dense material. So everyone else was like, I don't know what to do about that. And I was like, that's the good stuff. Mine it. Let's go. Let's melt it down. And I was all for that, because I know dense things and heavy things. There's something good. There's something, that means there's particles there. That means there's matter there. That means there's something, something useful. So everyone else was really, I was like, yes. I was like, buy all the land. I want the whole thing. I mean, I bought the whole continent eventually, and all of Europe. I mean, I was like, buy it, buy. And everyone was like, what value is land? Okay, yeah, it's yours. I was like, yes, cool. So, anyway, I mean, technically I owned it anyway, but I just wanted to state my claim. Lucifer Star. I know it's kind of like silly, but I mean, and then, I mean, I'm building. And plus, I had a big population. I mean, all my Germans, all my Chinese, all my different groups, all my Irish. Like, I love my Irish. They meant a lot to me. I was like, no, protect my Irish. No hurt my Irish. They have a country. You know, I think Belfast. I was like,